Hey strong people, Beck here from StartingStrongman.com, and here's how the Boston Red Sox won the World Series. No. Here's what happened at Beast of the East WUS Strongman. That contest that happened in Dubai. Interesting contest. There's a lot of money, a decent amount of hype, a lot of extras and, over the top entrances and everything. A lot of promises, some heavy events. I mean, we have a truck pull, arm over arm pull, max weight, silver dollar deadlift, a 580 kilogram yoke, which is just under 1,300 pounds. Pressing medley, which consisted of a 160, 352 pound log, 220 pound dumbbell, 352 pound axle, 308 pound block, and the slipperiest stones we have ever seen, ranging from 374 to 496 pounds. That's a lot. So this is an interesting contest that popped up. I heard rumblings months and months ago that, hey, there's this big contest that's going to be happening in Dubai. Some people are interested. It's, started to cultivate. It came up with a name, World's Ultimate Strongman, World's Strongest Man, WSM, Arnold Strongman Classic, AS, I think that's ASC, WUS, not the best acronym. We might need to figure that out. But anyways, the competitors were Luke Stoltman, Martins Lisis, Lawrence Chalet, Matthias Kilzakowski, Zadrunas Saviskis, Hafler Bjornsson, Brian Shaw, Konstantin Gymnasia, Iron Bibi, Terry Hollins, JF Kron, and Tom Stoltman. Belsack injured his bicep and got surgery at the Arnold Europe and was unable to compete. Robert Oberst tore his bicep a couple months ago training for Giants Live Final Max Axel, and was going to compete but just wasn't ready in time. Just to update people on that. On to the events and what happened. So, started off, interesting contest that starts with a truck pull followed by an arm over arm. Lean and Mean Terry Hollins ended up winning the truck pull. He seemed very happy about that. It's his first, event win at a big, major international contest. You look at the competitors. This is pretty much just almost everyone who's in the World's Strongest Man finals year after year. It's the best of the best. Lawrence Chalet in second. And the important thing here is that Thor placed one above Brian Shaw in third and fourth, respectively. Kilzakowski a little behind, even though usually he wins a truck pull, in fifth place. In the arm over arm, there was somehow a tie between Kilzakowski and JF Karan. Then Brian Shaw got that point back from Hafthor. And I think JF Karan, or Terry Hollins, was winning after the first two events. So his athleticism is back. Max power is still creeping back up, has some work to do. Then we went on to the silver dollar deadlift. I want to make a couple points on a silver dollar deadlift. It's 18 inches high, has a flexi bar. There's the boxes on the side, and people say it's easier. And yeah, you can do more weight because it's elevated, but it's a very unique lift in itself. It's different than doing a rack pull because those boxes and the flexible bar, they make it easier up until a point. The heavier it gets, the harder it makes it, and the less room for error there is. If you start to shake a little bit, like you'll see people do in a max deadlift, it can cause disaster. You see a lot of people getting pushed forward. Those boxes just start oscillating like this. It's crazy. I mean, I've done it with 700-800 pounds, and getting up to there, it's like you feel like you're just gonna either pull it or it just throws you around. And I think some of the lighter guys that threw around a little bit more. Pretty much in that, it ended up went up to it kept going up in 500 and it's been about 500 kilograms. People started to drop off, and it was and JF Karan, just like his 490. Yeah, everyone kind of started to drop off about 490. 510, and Karan his just looked like he was just going to keep going forever. But once it started to get up to 510, they were rough. His hips were, he's really struggling to get his hips all the way through. Little soft lockout, in my opinion, on his 520. But, it's strongman, and there's a little bit more room for error as far as those things go in the judging. Hafthor looked stronger as it went, but I think, Karan being a little smaller, with the oscillating of the bar and trying to really get that speed off the floor in time, taking the slack out, it started throwing him around a little bit. But he held on, and he still got 520. They tied. Interesting note that people, even the announcers, list that Eddie Hall's holds the world record at 536 when he deadlifted books as part of that tour. It's interesting. I know Colin Bryce was the judge, but it was done on a whim. That seems more like an exhibition than a world record. I think there should be talk that a world record is going to be attempted before. So it's just, is that the real world record? Is it not? Either way, neither one of the athletes wanted to go to attempt it because they were doing, and it was hot in that stadium, in the outdoor stadium, even though it was at night, and they have a bunch of brutal events ahead of them, and that they already did 2 truck pulls. So once you're doing those 500 kilo plus, 18-inch deadlifts and trying to control all the, those bars just moving all around the boxes and everything, it's going to take a lot out of you. So they're happy to not fight over half a point extra. And this happens actually pretty frequently on max deadlift events. That's why it's a little bit more interesting with the elephant bar at the Arnold, because they let the athletes pick their attempts. There's some more gamesmanship instead of just doing last man standing where it just keeps going. That also takes a lot longer, though. On to the yoke walk. Lawrence Chalet blistered the course, won the event. Thor, surprisingly, I think he must have been training this heavy yoke, because he's generally been somewhat, he doesn't really have any weaknesses anymore, but if you're going to pick some yokes, kind of it's not the best event for him, but he ended up in second, and Kilzikowski in third with, and then Thor picked up 2 points on Shaw, which is a big move. On the block, on the overhead medley, it was a pretty cool setup. I really enjoy overhead medleys, especially when most of the people can't get all the implements. Maybe, if there's 12 guys, 3 or 4 get all of them, and that's about what it ended up here. The block looked pretty cool. Kilzikowski blistered the course, was absolutely fast, as all, just extremely fast on the event. And, but then Thor goes up and just calmly makes everything look like a toy. So that's the one everyone talks about, because, he didn't use much leg drive, where, Kilzikowski is such a more explosive athlete. But, it's cooler than strict pressing all the events, getting 12 points instead of 11. But, yeah, it's a good event. And then we go into the Atlas Stones. I think by this time, Hafthor Bjornsson had a 5-point lead over Brian Shaw. So a lot of people, they cherry pick what videos they watch, and they're like, oh, Brian Shaw killed Thor at the Stones. Here, okay, so, so Brian Shaw won the Stones, but the thing, and then who was it? Yeah, Tom Stoltman also, he lifted all the stones as well. A lot of people had a lot of problems. They're really heavy. It was hot. It was a different condition, and obviously Brian is an incredible stone lifter, but there's a lot of incredible stone lifters there, that have beaten Brian in runs in recent years. And I think what really separates Brian and what makes him such a great competitor, and why he is a 4 times world's strongest man, is his attention to detail is still better than anyone else. It's better than anyone. He is a master at how to apply tacky. He has it down to a science. He spends a lot of time going over these tiny little details. I mean, I've heard stories that he takes 10 different jars of blends with him and a microwave to events just to make sure he's ready for any condition that could come up. And, you know, at this level, that kind of stuff makes a difference. You could just, with how these stones were completely sealed, you know, factored in that they're lifting in the desert, and it's hot. Some people, they just were not getting any stick to these stones with their tacky, and it almost ends up being a hindrance because it's just, instead of being like a glue, it ends up just being like a slippery surface, you know, if you sweat through it and stuff. And I mean, it did not look like it affected Brian as well. Obviously, you know, having a little bit stronger squeeze grip helps there too, but he just blistered it. It was, I think, a very good performance for him. Thor ends up winning the overall, getting third in the stones, very casually doing them. You know, unofficial final results with Thor 60.5 points. Shaw locked up second, even though Kilzakowski was half a point behind him. Going into stones with 57. Kilzakowski struggled, 52.5. JF Caron, very good showing, 48. Lawrence Chalet, 5th place at this level contest. That's an awesome showing for him, all with 42.5. These are all unofficial. You know, just no injuries. People kind of discredit Big Laws, or not discredit, but they forget. But, you know, he won Europe's Strongest Man fair and square, 2 years ago? Won Ultimate Strongman World Championships, I think, not this past one, but the year before. You know, he's always in the mix. He just has a little bit bad breaks sometimes, you know, with the injury bug. But a great showing. Gymnasia looks improved, looked a little off at Europe's 6th place. Lysis didn't have his best day. He looked just like he was he'd done like 10 contests in the last 2 weeks. So needs a little bit of rest. Hopefully he gets it going up to the Arnold. There's not too much planned for him, but he's been a busy guy. Tom Stoltman ended up just eclipsing Hollins unofficially by half a point for 8th and 9th. Terry had a very good showing. Some good events. Looked great. Crowd loved him. He's been out there for a long time helping to promote the event. Doing a good job. You know, Zadrunas, he's still in there. And people that say Zadrunas is done, he's still getting 10th place in the world, everywhere, and it looks like he's having fun doing it. How are you going to tell him? He's not winning everything, but he's still a contender. He's still there. Who else is going to do better than him there? Iron Bibby just ended up in last. He just needs more experience. There's a lot of hype. He's very good at overhead. You know, he finished the overhead medley, I believe, but he's just not at that level yet. I think he could be. I think stuff, the conditions, he just needs, like I've said in previous videos, I think he has tremendous talent, but I think he needs to be around other people that train at a high level in strongman and are gonna, do all the things. All I see in his training is overhead stuff. So he needs to be around people. He had his best showing when he was it the Giants Live, not this year, the previous year, where he was in England for a couple weeks, and it seemed like he was working with Darren Sadler and doing all the events and doing the yoke, and he looked great then. So I think for him to get to that level of hype and what's possible versus actually putting up contest results, he needs to do that and move somewhere where there's serious strongman competitors and proper equipment and kind of coaching and go from there. But you have to remember these are world events, and you got to get people from all over the world. You can't just have 10 people from England, even though nowhere is there more depth in strongman than in the UK and the USA. You could fill plenty of contests with, let's just take people from Poland, Lithuania, the United States, and the UK, and have 15 competitors that are probably the best in the world, with one or two here or there. But these are world events, so you need people from all different walks. So you might be, 10 people from England, you might be 10 people from the UK, and you might be 10 people from the US, and you might be 10 people from Poland, Lithuania, the United States, and the UK, and have 15 competitors that are probably the best in the world, with one or two here or there. But these are world events, so you need people from all different walks. So the 8th best guy in the United States, but they got to get some guy from wherever, New Zealand or Finland or something to make it a world event, and you could probably beat him any day of the week. But it's just not how you're not going to be in the Olympics if you're 8th, right? Same thing with strongman. And people need to remember that. So everyone there definitely belonged. It was a great show. Interesting. The live stream was pretty good. I think I think it's going to be interesting to see, because there's $150,000 in total prize money, $75,000 to the winner. That's a lot of money. I already saw that I've heard talks that they're signing 3-year commitments for athletes to do these shows. I don't know how legitimate that is. They're obviously have a lot of backing to some extent. Didn't look like to me there was enough people in the crowd, because this show must have cost a ton of money to put on. But I don't know how it made money. It might have. I could be wrong. I don't know everything, that's for sure. They're signing some sort of commitment to do another show in China. So it's going to be interesting how the World's Ultimate Strongman promotion with all the resources they have kind of goes in the mix and either complements or just takes away from stuff like World's Strongest Man in the Arnold series, because athletes got if they got to make a living and got to eat, and it seemed like they're treated really well. Everyone was seemed like they're flown over there in business or first class on Emirates, picked up in Bentleys. Everyone was having a good time. Looked like a good show. That's a great thing for strongman, that there's more money being put into the sport. I just hope it's sustainable. I'm Kalle Beck. Go to startingstrongman.com for all of your information on strongman. Go to store.startingstrongman.com for all of your strongman training needs. You can follow me at Let Kalle Lift. Follow at Starting Strongman across social media.